Hey guys, so we are going to start notes on World War I today. I know that y'all already learned about World War I last year in 7th grade, but we are going to focus more on the U.S.'s involvement in World War I with our notes. But today's just going to kind of be get started. We're going to do about half the notes today, and we will continue on with notes on Thursday. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the notes in my screen, hopefully, and kind of go over them with you so you can have them to help you with your guided notes that are attached. All right, so let's see. Haha. Okay. So we are going to be talking about, about World War I, or the Great War that it was called because people didn't think that up until then there had been a war this magnitude, and they didn't think there would ever be one like this again. Of course, World War II comes about, and we all know how that goes. So, before World War I, Europe was going through a period with a lot of nationalism. So it's really strong pride in your country and your people. And this is Europe before World War I. So you have Germany, France, Britain, Spain, Austria-Hungary, Italy, and Serbia right here. Now, Austria-Hungary was a very powerful empire, and it had control over Serbia and other areas. And a lot of people from Serbia did not agree with this. They thought their country should be their own. Austria-Hungary should not be in control of it. And this is the nationalist feelings coming about, and this is what ultimately leads to the start of World War I. So, how did it start? What was the big spark? Well, in 1914, the Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife, Sophie, who are pictured right here, were making a trip to Serbia. They were going to kind of celebrate, because, yeah, so Franz Ferdinand, his dad was in charge, or his great dad. Okay, guys, so I don't know how to edit this, so we're just going to keep that in. But anywho, Franz Ferdinand, his dad, was in charge of Austria-Hungary, and he sent his son and his wife to kind of go on a tour. And while they were on the tour, they were assassinated. So we have Franz and his wife, Sophie. It was a love match. However, Franz's dad was very unhappy that they married because Sophie was not up to par. She was not a royal, and so their marriage was really looked down upon, but it was a love match. Now, they were killed by this man right here, Gavrilo Princip, and he was just a teenager when this happened, but he was a member of the Black Hand, which was almost like a terrorist group in Serbia. And there was a plan with him and a few other young men. The plan was to wait until the Archduke and his wife were driving down the road as part of this little parade, and they were going to assassinate them then. However, it didn't quite go as planned. What the plan was is they would throw a bomb at the car. They had an open car, and one of the members did throw a bomb at the car as they drove past. However, the bomb bounced off the car, rolled up under the car in front of them, and then exploded. So Franz and his wife were not hurt like intended. Now, the man who ended up doing that took a cyanide pill, which is supposed to kill you, and then he jumped into the river to just make sure he was dead. Well, cyanide pill was old and didn't work. It just made him throw up a lot. And the river was very, very shallow, so he did not drown, so he got captured. So Sophie and Franz are a little shaken up, but they continue on their journey, and they go to this meeting they were going to have, and then they decide, the people in the car in front of us that the bomb exploded under, they're in the hospital, they got hurt, we should go visit them. So they get back in the car, and they go down the road again. And while they're going down the road again, their driver accidentally takes a wrong turn, and they wind up in front of Gavrilo Princip, and he takes this opportunity to fire. So he shoots Sophie and he shoots the Archduke. Now he shoots Sophie in her abdomen, so you can see the blood right here, and he shoots the Archduke in his head. And this kills both of them. It doesn't quite kill them instantly, but they're killed within about 30 minutes of this happening. So this right here, this is the car after the first bomb exploded. Well, it was successful, but it did not successfully kill Franz and Sophie. Instead, Gavrilo Princip did. Now, Princip, he was arrested and he was tried and he was sentenced to 20 years in prison, but he ended up dying a few years into his prison sentence. But this is kind of the spark that started World War I. Oh my gosh, who is that cool person standing in front of the car that the Archduke and his wife were shot in? That's me. I know. So, in October, when I was gone for a week, this is where I was. I went to Austria, and I got a picture in front of their car. I know. It was pretty cool. Now, this is the outfit that Franz Ferdinand was actually wearing when he died, and this was the little ottoman that he died on. You can still see the bloodstains right here. So, how did this lead to World War I? Well, Austria-Hungary, which is where Franz and Sophie were from, they made demands with Serbia. They said, you know, you killed the heir to our throne. You have to meet these demands or else we're going to attack. Well, the demands that they gave for Serbia were very outlandish. Like, they knew Serbia was not going to meet those demands. So Serbia refused, and Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Well, when that happened, all of Serbia's allies declared war on Austria-Hungary. So all of Austria-Hungary's allies declared war on Serbia. So, I know last year in 7th grade y'all learned about how alliances were one of the problems of World War I, and that is, and this is why, because when one country declares war on another, all of their allies have to join in too. So who fought? We had the Central Powers, which were Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Turkey, and the Allied Powers, which are also called the Entente Powers, which are England, France, Italy, and Russia. Now, notice how the U.S. is not considered part of the Allied Powers, at least not at the start, because we didn't join the war until 1917. So when it was close to almost being over. So at the start, we were not involved, or we weren't fighting in the war. So, the red, you have your Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary, Bulgaria. In this yellowish, greenish color, you have your allies, so Russia, France, England, Portugal, Italy, Serbia, Romania, and eventually the U.S. will join in. Now, when the war started, like I said, the U.S. didn't join. President Woodrow Wilson, he declared neutrality. He said, we are not going to join the war. It's not our fight, so we're going to stay out of it. We will send you food. We will send you supplies, both sides, but we're not going to actually fight. One of the reasons for this, well, obviously it was a foreign conflict. They didn't want to get into it. But another reason was because America was a country and is a country of immigrants. We had immigrants from all of these countries involved, and it would have been very hard to choose a side without angering a large group of people. Now, the U.S., we exported goods to all of these countries during the war. And at the start of the war in 1914, you can see here that we exported millions of dollars to Britain, France, and Germany. Well, as the war progresses and we get into 1916, we're sending billions of dollars to Britain, and we're sending less than $300,000 to Germany. So you do start to see a shift in our alliances. We are doing less for the Central Powers and more for the Allied Powers. So while we are sending money and sending supplies on the home front, German Americans are also becoming targets of discrimination and violence. So schools stopped teaching German for a short while because it's seen as unpatriotic. Hot dogs and sauerkraut, they changed the name of those because they were German names, and they didn't want to have that association anymore. So like sauerkraut became Liberty cabbage, which sauerkraut is gross, by the way. I'm just gonna say. Hot dogs, which were called Frankfurters, became Liberty sausages. So they did this to get rid of that association. They would also destroy businesses of German Americans. So they might go and break into businesses. They have signs saying for humanity, say boycott German industry, don't buy German goods, and things like this. Don't speak the enemy's language, speak American. So German Americans in the U.S. at the start of the war were not doing so well because even though we hadn't officially joined the war against Germany, we were still discriminating against German Americans. Alright guys, so we're going to stop here. We will continue on with notes on Thursday. Hopefully this video works because I don't want to do this again. Alright, okay, so I will see, how do I stop this? Alright, I will see y'all later. I hope y'all are doing good.